Hey Tarot friends, it's Dustin from Modern Metaphysical, and today I thought we could hang out and take a trip through the Tarot of the Divine by Yoshi Yoshitani, I believe is how you say the name. If I butchered that, I'm so terribly sorry. As always, you'll find a link in the description box where you can find out more information about this deck and its creator, as well as where you can pick up a copy for yourself. Down there, you'll also find all of my social media links where you can reach out, connect, ask me questions, get to know me more, and a link to my personal website where you can book a personal reading or purchase some of the handmade metaphysical goods that I offer. Now, let's dive into this because I was really excited when I found out about this deck. Yoshi is a pretty well-known artist who has worked for Disney and DC Comics and a number of just massive brand companies in their career. The deck itself is a exploration of mythology and legend from across the world, which is what really drew me to this deck the most. The art style is beautiful. It is very Disney. It leans towards the Disney side of art, but there's nothing wrong with that. I really enjoy it. It's unique to the deck itself. I don't feel like there's really anything out there that's specifically really like this. And so when I saw this, I was just keeping a really good hawk eye on its progress and when it was going to be released and things like that. So I'm really excited to share it with you today. Now, the deck itself does come with an optional guidebook. This is a book entitled Beneath the Moon, which is fairy tales, myth, and divine stories from around the world. And it goes through each of the myths and legends that you find depicted on each of the cards. Now, that being said, these are very Disney-fied. A lot of the ones that I am super familiar with, I did go through and look at, and they're very kid-friendly. So these aren't your traditional grim fairy tales where there's blood and guts and not nice things, but they're definitely more suited for all audiences. So if that's something that bothers you, definitely keep that in mind if you're deciding on whether or not to purchase this deck. However, the book itself does do a good job of really kind of condensing down the myths and legends and really giving you just a really simple one-page Reader's Digest blurb of the story. So that's really fantastic. I love this Beauty and the Beast. Really, really, really beautiful. Fantastic things. So that's the optional guidebook there. I have found a few typos in this as well as the guidebook in the deck itself. Interestingly enough, it seems like typos for a lot of the decks that have been coming out recently are pretty commonplace, which maybe that has to do with the pandemic. I'm not sure, but a lot of these publishing companies are just missing some really blatant stuff. But needless to say, the deck is still absolutely worth getting, in my opinion. But we'll talk more about that at the end of the video. So the box comes in this, the deck comes in this really beautiful box. It has a nice linen finish to it. It's gold embossed. It's really well constructed, and it's a really beautiful box. It is a flip open box like this. It's a really nice sturdy box. Inside you find your guidebook. And in here is where I found a lot of typos. I know some people have actually been talking about it in some of the social media groups and stuff like that. And yeah, it is what it is. You know what? We're all human. We all make mistakes. And the level of people just up in arms about little typos and things like that just blows my mind sometimes. But it does have a nice little guidebook. As you can see, it's full color. It gives you a even more brief sort of description of the card. It gives you kind of the basic information about the myth or the legend or the fairy tale, and then it gives you basically upright and reversed keywords. There's nothing crazy here. There's nothing new. It very much follows the traditional RWS stint on the tarot. Nothing mind-blowing in this. Now the cards sit in this little tray, which when I first saw it, I was a little apprehensive of, but you know what? It's actually pretty well constructed. And most importantly is the bottom doesn't have like little gaps that the cards can slide under. So if you're gonna do a tray insert, Llewellyn, if you're watching, I'm talking to you. If you're gonna do a tray insert, this is the way to do it, okay? All right, let's get on to the cards. Now, the cards themselves are a very standard tarot size. The backs have this really beautiful design on them, which are reversible. So if you are one of those persons that has to have reversible backs, this will work well for you. As you can probably see in the light, these cards are linen finished, both on the front and the back. The card sides themselves is a standard tarot. So these are standard tarot dimensions, nothing bigger, nothing smaller. And the cardstock is really nice. It's actually, I would say it's a little nicer than US Games. It's bendy and flexible, but it's not flimsy. And the finish on it is actually really nice. So I really appreciate that. Now, as always, we'll do a nice little flip through so you guys can check out the deck itself, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about what I love about it, maybe what I don't like about it, and what my overall feelings are about the deck itself and my experiences with reading with it. So this is the Tarot of the Divine. So that is the Tarot of the Divine. It's an absolutely beautiful deck, and it's so amazingly diverse. The creator did just such a wonderful job of selecting myths and stories from around the world that not only speak to the story depicted on each of the cards in the traditional sort of RWS system, but stories that really resonate with the card's meaning, which I thought was just really fantastic. There was a lot of thought and care that went into the selection of stories and then the moments or the beats within the story that they chose to depict on the card, which I just thought, I honestly don't know how they did it. I mean, there's so many, like this Two of Cups cards, right? Like Enkidu and the whole concept behind the story and how their relationship formed and things like that. It's so perfect. They did just such a wonderful job. I can't get over it. Now, that being said, right, there were a lot of things, like this Justice card, in fact, that I was not super familiar with. And so I found myself referring back to the Beneath the Moon book quite a few times in my first few readings with this deck. And it was really useful. I actually kind of wish that the content that's within the Beneath the Moon book was in the Little White Book. I actually think that the content that's in there is more valuable to me as a reader than the Little White Book. If you're new to reading tarot, the Little White Book is perfect, but if you're a reader that's experienced and you know the traditional meaning of the Justice card, then it's more interesting to learn about the myth that was chosen for this card, as well as, the sort of story within the card itself. So, that's one thing. If you are a more seasoned reader, I would definitely recommend getting Beneath the Moon. Even though a lot of the stories that I do know, when I looked at them, they were definitely cast in a very positive light, or Disneyfied, I guess is the best way to say it. That being said, right, there was only a page per story, so concessions have to be made. But that being said, I think the Beneath the Moon book would have been a much better choice for the content of the Little White Book. But I don't mind having it as a separate sort of thing. I think it's wonderful to have the option of both of those. So that's really awesome. That being said, the cards are just beautiful. The artwork is stunning. This Beauty and the Beast card, I said it before, I love it. It's just beautiful. It's King Arthur as the Emperor, right? I mean, that's just perfect, but the thing that really struck me the most about this deck was all of the different choices and how diverse they were. I think the diversity expressed within this deck is just really spectacular. And I've learned a lot of, Far Eastern myths and legends, as well as African and Eastern European, Slavic, things like that. Things that I'm not super familiar with, this deck has exposed me to, and I really appreciate and value that. So if you're interested in this deck and you have a love for myth and legend, I would definitely pick it up. I think it's definitely worth having, and I'm really thankful that I have it in my collection, and it's one that I look forward to working with and learning more about and reading with. You still get the very traditional RWS sort of meanings from the cards, so even if you're not familiar with the myths and legends, you can still read it just like you could read any other tarot. The imagery is beautiful and gives you a lot of intuitive hits and things like that. It's a really pleasurable deck to work with, and I'm really thankful to have it. So let me know what you think about this deck in the comments below. I would love to hear what your thoughts on it are. And as always, be sure to like, share, subscribe. All of those things really help the channel out, and I really appreciate you coming to hang out and check out this deck with me. So as always, remember, everyone is fighting a battle that you know nothing about. So be kind, always. Bye.